extends and everything flexes too much. We do. But often the activities that we do are a combination. We'll flex at one point and bend and straighten at another. So that sort of comes in to that. This week, as much as is possible, given that we don't actually move like this, this is just the convention. We've been experiencing rotation. So if I could just jump back to remind you, flexion extension, that's kind of the movement stylistically is in these planes. It's in this, you know, we flex and extend in this plane. If I look at the sweep of the movement, it's in the plane of the side walls, and that's called the sagittal plane. Doesn't matter, but that's just what it is. And the axis goes this way in that instance. So this, for my elbow to flex and extend, the axis is there. For my trunk to flex and extend, here my hip, well, it's actually my hip joints, the axis goes that way, right? So it's an axis that runs horizontally. And you know, if you're starting to freak out already, it's fine. Just come back to the experience of bending and straightening. Sorry? Being an umbrella. Oh, that's right, in that plane. So it is, if I look at flexion extension, yeah, it's this way. So that's your that's the axis is the pen. Flexion extension is in that direction. So that's the plane. The paper is the plane, right? And it's actually still a rotation. We always rotate, but in this instance we call it flexing extend. I'm rotating this way and that way. So we just call it flexing extending because it's my belly surface is coming together, or in this instance, whatever this instance, the soft surface is coming together and moving away, opening and closing. Yeah, we're not doing a 360. May you say something? Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, same way. Equanimity. That's great. So that's really that movement, quite hard for Westerners, isn't it? That movement that, like you were doing this movement now to get your eyes up to the stars, but this movement, you know, when I've been teaching a lot in different Asian countries, and I realized that movement has taken a while for me to be evoked, that I spontaneously do that. And it's not just that, which is what we do. It's that. It could be, yeah. Well, and it can be that, you know, very formal, then it's here, and this stays extended, and it's that. So, you know, there's many different ways of bowing, you know, and think about that, it's that, and they're very different feelings. Or the curtsy. Yeah, and we keep our chest up. It's not that real. Yeah, and it's, well, I don't know, Philip, you could do a better curtsy than me, but it's that. See, you're not that. That's the type that I used to work with who do that. Anyway, and my eyes do the thing. Anyway, so that's flexion extension. You can leave that language behind up to a point, just because the embodied experience is there and all the different feelings that it can evoke. Like I said, robots flex and extend really well, and that's why they look like robots. You can read Larry's thesis about why robots fall down. That's what the title. See, when you're feeling cross practitioner, you can write a thesis called "Why Do Robots Fall Down?" You go, "Oh, that's so nice." That's right. You can be a bit sci-fi. Yeah. So getting back to rotation. Now this guy is a perfect example of rotation because he's got the vertical axis, right, up his clacker. He's rotating en masse. The whole of him is rotating around this vertical axis. I could see your vertical axes yesterday when you were turning. You were all turning so beautifully around yourself. And some of you felt that the groundedness that comes with having a really clear vertical axis. You feel like you're sort of free to float around, but there's this real sense of, some people felt that yesterday. If you didn't feel it, don't feel, go on, feel inadequate. You feel what you like, I don't care. It's your responsibility if you feel like you've missed out. What's that FOMO thing? Fear of missing out. If you didn't feel it, have FOMO. I don't, deal with it. Keep breathing. But that's this movement, right? So I'm rotating this way now because the axis is vertical and the plane is horizontal. So the field that I inhabit is horizontal when I'm rotating. And you felt that. You experience that, you sense that sweeping around the horizon, right? That's what rotation affords you at its most basic is, if flexion extension helps you to, inhabit this plane of coming up and going down. So it's this plane I can inhabit through here. Rotation helps me inhabit this plane. Yeah, is that clear? So when why do we tell you this? Because sometimes we think like this in a way, because you'll see people, they inhabit one plane more easily than another. Now the third plane, which I'm inviting Zoran to go into next, and Jenny, next week, when I'm not here, big responsibility, Jen, is this plane. Virtual flexion. Is that your favourite plane? We have our predilections. We have our little, we inhabit spaces more easily than others. Yeah. Can you share into the box? The box wants to share with you.
So I like to do things for my brain, and this Christmas, like just a few weeks ago, learned how to do the Rubik's Cube. Now, sorry for people I've already told this to, but the Rubik's Cube, all the magic's out of it now that I've learned how to do it.
Oh.
And it's all about, and this is good if you're not sure, it's all about three orientations of the cube.
We love you.
And it's mostly about keeping, you need to know that the white stays on the top of the yellow and keeping the orientation right. If you lose the orientation when doing the cube, you'll lose your way. So it's so if you want to exercise and just sort of getting orientations right, go and do the Rubik's Cube. And the other things, all you got to do is Rubik's orientation. The other skill is memory. They're just like a set, other than the first one where you've got a tiny bit of intelligence, very minimal. It's just memory of passions.
Wow.
So that's sort of, what's that called when you learn one thing, it kind of...
Transference.
Yeah, there you go. So Rubik's Cube, everyone. I can send you some good...
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to go, okay, so once I get to this stage, I have to make sure I kept that. You're going to know what the top, bottom, back, front, sides are.
We love this.
Do you want me to bring my Rubik's Cube into my...
Yeah. Woohoo. Okay. Yeah. And it's rotating, Ran. It's rotating in the three different planes. Well, no, it rotates in that plane.
The rotations.
And then it does rotate in all three planes.
Very simple. It's just remembering the steps. You'll all be able to do it. Can anyone do it, by the way?
That's right. Yeah, it is. That's the three axes.
I must confess, when I go home, we've ordered the speed cubes.
You're all going to become Rubik's Cubes. Because it's also like the Rubik's Cube is a cube, but then it's all a little cube, so you can differentiate and then you can integrate. Oh, metaphor. Metaphor, Jen. Metaphor. We love metaphor. Feldenkrais is like a Rubik's Cube. It's so frustrating you want to throw against the wall. Is that what you mean? See, metaphors, got to be careful. Yeah. Do you want the box? Box coming.
I used to teach AutoCAD for a few years, and you'd have to teach people the XY axes and all of that, and just having that as, all right, you put that down and it's like X, Y, Z.
Yeah. That's good. Like, and I can remember which one's which. Which one's which?
Oh, well, like if you just go X, Y, Z, and X is always, flat on the ground. Computer-aided design. Aided.
Z goes into you.
Oh, well, you can
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Never mind.
Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're exploring. We've got the two axes happening. Okay. Next week is lateral flexion week. You are distracted. You're a little bit excited because we've opened up a third dimension. We call that lateral flexion. That's next week. Lateral side flexion. Yeah. And that's in this plane. But I'm going to hypnotize you now because that's next week. Last week you were unidimensional. This week you're two-dimensional. Next week you'll be three-dimensional.
It'd be interesting to go and see if you changed the cube with your, if you actually did that, or if you changed it and then did that. So we've changed it to a vertical.
Is it the left moving relative to the right or the right moving to the left, you mean? Yeah.
And whether you
the
turn the cube in order to go and do that movement as you would in that plane.
Yeah.
Whether in order to go and do that movement, you change it to do this because that's what we're more familiar with.
Oh, there's a secret. There's a secret.
Well, it is fascinating because I mean there are depending, you do have to look at it and learn some patterns, and depending whether the yellow's there, you do it one side, but let's say you do it that side. So there is some flipping of it. But then I've just learnt one method. I mean, I think there are probably countless methods to do the Rubik's Cube. So yeah. And don't forget, if you ever turn it the full way 180, well then you can go either way because that's the same thing. So lots of flexibility.
So the degrees of freedom, mindless. Okay. So rotation. So just out of interest, who feels they inhabit the kind of flexion extension realm more easily than the rotational? Who feels they inhabit the flexion extension realm more easily than the rotational realm? Yeah. And okay. Yeah. So there's a distinction even within that plane. Very good point. Now, those of you someone who was got excited about lateral flexion? No. Philippa. So we haven't got to your predilection yet. So that was about a third of you identify with the flexion and or extension thing. Doesn't mean to say that you can't inhabit the other things. It's just noticing what your tendency is. What sort of springs to mind first, if you like, folding or turning. Yeah, that's right. They do combine. So think about the twisting bird. And the test movement in the twisting bird. What the hell is going on there? It's flexion and extension with rotation. Right? So if you would do it, feel it. Don't take my word for it. I could be bullshitting. So you're in this position. So your hips and your knees are quite flexed, right? This is all flexed. And then you come into here and you are rotating around yourself, or as Helen accurately pointed out right at the beginning, you're actually rotating around the long axis of your arm because the movement's actually in your left shoulder, which most people don't realise. But you're inhabiting this horizontal plane. However, when you get to here, there's a lot of extension. And that's actually what we're differentiating when we're doing this. So we get to a point, we get to a twist, a point in the rotation, and we flex and extend. Beautiful. Getting a jar off the shelf behind you, because we don't live life in these planes quite so didactically. There is a turn and an extension, or a downward, etc. So get into groups of 3 and think of all the turning movements. What joints turn? Twist, turn, rotate. This one, the second one, where the directions are usually left and right. The orientation is one in this horizontal plane around a vertical axis. Now, of course, we can lie on our bellies and do it in a different plane. So if we orient to the room, that's what it is. We orient to ourselves, it can be all sorts of things. So just get together and work out. So you did this last week. You worked out all the things that can flex and extend, all the joints. What joints rotate? What parts of you rotate?